This is ZEN, Beginning on the Path, Mindfulness and Inner Peace. Written by Evie Harrison. Narrated by Mary Johnson. Copyright 2020 by Evie Harrison. And production copyright by Evie Harrison. Chapter 1. Is Zen meditation the right thing for you? Zen meditation, which is also referred to as Zazen, is a meditation strategy rooted in Buddhist psychology. The objective of Zen meditation is to regulate attention. It is in some cases described as a practice that includes thinking about not thinking. Many people usually sit in the lotus position or sit with their legs crossed during Zen meditation and focus their attention inward. Though some practitioners say this step is achieved by counting breaths, generally from 1 to 10, others say there is no counting involved. What occurs throughout Zen meditation? Zen meditation is considered an open monitoring meditation, where tracking abilities are used. These monitoring skills are changed into a state of reflexive consciousness with a broad scope of attention and without focusing on one particular thing. Zen meditation is similar to mindfulness in that it is about focusing on the presence of mind. Nevertheless, mindfulness concentrates on a particular object, and Zen meditation includes a general awareness. Unlike loving generosity and empathy meditation, which focuses on cultivating empathy, or mantra meditation, which involves the recitation of a mantra, Zen meditation includes increased consciousness of the ongoing physical and self-referential processes. People who practice Zen meditation effort to broaden their attentional scope to incorporate the flow of understandings, ideas, emotions, and subjective awareness. Zen meditation usually involves keeping the eyes semi-open, which is not the same as most other forms of meditation that motivate closing the eyes. During Zen meditation, professionals also dismiss any thoughts that pop into their minds and basically think of nothing. With time, they learn how to keep their minds from roaming and could even have the ability to use their unconscious minds. Often, the goal is to end up being more knowledgeable about presumptions and getting insight into oneself. Benefits. A lot of research plainly shows meditation has a vast array of physical, cognitive, social, spiritual, and psychological health advantages. And obviously, meditation can be a great tension reliever, which is the reason why many individuals turn to it in the first place. It is likely that Zen meditation offers a lot of the exact same advantages as other types of meditation, but much of the research on meditation hasn't distinguished between the different types. There is early research that shows different kinds of meditation could impact the brain in partially different ways. So, it is possible that Zen meditation may offer some additional benefits past those seen in other types of meditation. Influence on the brain. For several years, researchers have studied how meditation influences the mind and the body. There has been some particular interest in Zen meditation practice and how it affects the brain. In a 2008 study, researchers compared 12 people who had more than 3 years of daily practice in Zen meditation with 12 novices who had never ever practiced meditation. Everybody in the research study was given a brain scan and asked to concentrate on their breathing. Occasionally, they were asked to distinguish a very real word from a nonsense word on a computer screen. Then, they were advised to focus on the breathing again. The scans revealed that Zen training caused activity in a set of brain areas known as the default network. The default network is linked to roaming minds. The volunteers who regularly practiced Zen meditation also had the ability to go back to their breathing much faster than the beginners after being interrupted. The authors of the study concluded that meditation might improve the capacity to stay focused, concentrate, and try to limit distractions, all of which can be a battle for people in today's digital world. Access to the unconscious. There has also been a lot of curiosity about whether Zen meditation can enable professionals to better access their unconscious minds. It is thought that the mindful mind can only focus on one thing at a time, like your grocery list or a book that you read right now. Though experts presume the subconscious mind is huge. Many researchers actually believe that understanding how to access unconscious processes could promote a greater creative skill and help people become more aware of what they need to do to reach their objectives. A 2012 study analyzed whether Zen meditation helped professionals better access their subconscious minds. All of the participants were skilled Zen meditators. One group was asked to meditate for 20 minutes. The other group was asked to read magazines. After that, all of the individuals were seated in cubicles with a computer screen. They were instructed to connect 3 words presented on the screen with a 4th involved word. They also were asked to type the answer as quick as possible. The people who practiced meditation before the test had the ability to complete the job much faster, which demonstrated that they had better access to their unconscious minds. In another study, one group was again asked to practice meditation for 20 minutes, while the control group was just told to relax. And then, all of the volunteers were asked 20 questions, each with 3 or 4 right answers. An example would be the following. They could be asked to name one of the 4 times of the year. Nevertheless, prior to seeing the question on the computer system screen, a possible answer, such as spring, flashed for 16 milliseconds. On average, the meditation group gave 6.8 answers that matched the subliminal words. The control group only matched an average of 4.9 words. The researchers concluded that the meditators were better able to access what the brain focused on than the non-meditators. The research study authors report Zen meditation might be able to provide better insight into what is going on in the background of the brain. Zen meditation allows you to better comprehend how you are feeling, why you make certain choices, and how you are influenced by your environment. This could have a big impact on your life. Substance abuse treatment. Zen meditation is typically used in substance abuse treatment programs in Taiwan because it slows heart rate and respiration while also enhancing the functioning of the autonomic nerve system. Truth be told, the authors of a 2018 research study released in the Journal of Traditional and Complementary Medication found that Zen meditation influences brain-heart interactions. According to the authors, Zen practitioners devote their practice to divulging the spiritual heart inside the organ heart. They specify, through years of Zen meditation practice, professionals have their brain works absolutely reformed into a so-called detached heart dominated by the spiritual heart. People who are in recovery from substance abuse also may experience issues with their free nervous system, the system responsible for the control of the physical functions that are not consciously directed, like breathing, heartbeat, and digestion processes. Scientists have found out that 10-minute Zen meditation sessions have shown substantial improvement in free nerve system function in clients. Zen meditation also enhances mood, and a better state of mind can be crucial to helping individuals with a drug dependency resist the temptation to use again. The researchers also found that Zen meditation enhances the hypothalamus and frontal lobe functioning, which enhances self-discipline and helps people conquer dependency. 16 out of the 18 individuals in the study said that they experienced cleansing and rejuvenation of mind and body after a 10-minute Zen meditation session. Participants also reported scalp tingling, whole body heat, and feeling cold. Scientists who use Zen meditation as a treatment say it affects areas of the brain that help individuals successfully go through detox and the recovery process. How to discover it? There are many ways to read more about Zen meditation, including audio programs, online videos, online learning programs, and books dedicated to the subject. You also may find a Zen meditation class, so you can learn a lot from an instructor. Furthermore, there are a range of meditation retreats that last wherever from a weekend to a month or more. Zen meditation retreats are especially well known with tourists in China who want to learn the practice in a Buddhist temple. So depending upon your interest, needs, and budget, there are plenty of ways to find a program that will help you learn Zen meditation techniques. Is Zen meditation right for you? When it pertains to meditation, it is essential to find which type is best suited for you. Research shows that Zen meditation does not always turn out to be a preferred. Actually, in some cases, it is near the bottom of the list. In a 2012 study, college students spent 7 days practicing a particular type of meditation throughout 4 weeks. At the end of the research study, they were asked to rank the meditation practices in order of personal preference. Significantly more individuals ranked Vipassana, or mindfulness, and mantra meditation as higher than Zen and Qigong visualization. Enjoying your meditation practice is crucial to sustaining it over a long time. If you try Zen meditation and it isn't right for you, don't mark down all kinds of meditation. Attempt another type until you find one that is best matched for you. Chapter 2. How to develop Zen presence. Students of Western positive psychology are significantly drawn these days to the concept of mindfulness. It is an interesting proposition with the guarantee of making us more peaceful, more informed, and more psychologically healthy. Nevertheless, the prospect of actually using it in a useful way to life circumstances still seems rather evasive to many. What does one really do when one is being conscious? What is going on in the mind of a mindful individual? Meanings of mindfulness are plentiful. My preferred is, mindfulness is paying attention to the experience of the present moment with calm acceptance of whatever is going on. Some people, specifically illustrators and graphic artists, it seems, tend to confuse mindfulness with meditation, but it is a different and special experience in its own way. The obligatory articles on websites and in popular magazines usually show the stereotypical young, female, hard-body physical fitness fanatic with routing ponytail and form-fitting yoga attire, sitting serenely in the standard lotus position, with eyes closed, upturned hands resting on her knees, and thumbs elegantly touching forefingers. It is a charming image, maybe, but it is by no means any sort of basic portrayal. Surely, the practice of meditation tends to improve somebody's capacity for waking mindfulness, but in fact, meditation includes a unique mindset that Eastern followers like to call mindlessness. The purpose of most meditative practices is to suspend the regular process of focusing and accomplish a state of deep reverie in which one is not thinking about anything in particular. Mindfulness, which is different, is the direct and intense experience of the here and now. It is not tuning out, but precisely the opposite. It is tuning in. It exists, attentive, focused, and ready for action. When you are in a conscious state, you understand, at the same time, of the situation you are in and your inner experience of it. Whether the circumstance includes intense activity or interaction with other people, or just some quiet activity by yourself, your psychological radar antenna is getting the signals of the circumstance and enabling you to deal with it knowingly and successfully. Let us call it Zen presence. The aim of mindfulness practice is to be present to the experience of the instant moment, increasingly more often as part of your participation in the experience of life. Imagine walking into a space, say a business office or a meeting room, and finding a dozen or so people involved in a heated argument. They are tossing criticisms and allegations at one another. As you walk in the door, they become aware of your presence, and they signal their expectation that you will join the fracas and take a side. But now that you are acting from a conscious state, you scan the circumstance, consult your inner advisor, and show rapidly on your purposes for being there and your choices for engagement. You choose not to take the bait. You approximate that you can make a more constructive contribution by not joining any of the factions, but by a process of courteous inquiry that gives you a better grasp of the problem they are struggling with. That is Zen presence. Another name I, in some cases, give to it is vibrant calmness, or peacefulness in action. Zen presence allows you to engage the situation mindfully, without getting mired in it. Before you speak, you scan the room. You notice who the actors are, where they are sitting, how they are behaving, what the conversation pattern appears to be. Who is talking the most? Who is talking the loudest? Who is left? You do a fast biological scan or body scan. How am I feeling? Am I building tension, anxiety, or anger within myself? Is my jaw tense or loose and relaxed? Are my stomach muscles tense or relaxed? Do I notice stress in my neck muscles? Am I tempted to jump in and take a side, or can I stay poised and communicate with them reasonably? Eventually, you will need to choose for yourself how best to engage the situation. You can leave or get included or listen silently. The important thing is that you are making a conscious choice based upon mindful awareness of the situation. Meet your observer. Professionals of Eastern knowledge traditions sometimes mention the observing self, a part of you, so to speak, that hovers silently in the background of your consciousness. Some of them refer to this entity as the witness. Your observer or your witness, whichever you prefer to call it, monitors your ideas, your responses, your impulses, and your behavior in actual time. You have actually most likely heard from this inner self, your observer, a lot of times in your life. There are people who may call it your conscience. Freud and his people called it the superego. If you haven't already done so, perhaps it is time to promote your observer to the leading rank among your numerous selves. You can make your observer your chief advisor. You might find the process easier than you expected. Try to imagine what your observer may look like. How would this entity speak to you? How would he or she or it get your attention when it is time to have a comment on some element of what you are thinking and doing? This is a process you can work with, practice, and develop over time. The more you listen for the voice of your observer, the more clearly you will hear it, the more useful it may be. I will share a personal example, just as a little beginning point. I've often noticed throughout the years that when I blow up or get stressed out, I tend to use blasphemy more regularly than when I am calm. I like to think of the random profane remark as sort of a conversational spice, but not as a primary component. Very typically, when I am in such a circumstance, my observer will report something like, "Increased use of profanity. Are we being stressed?" It is as if a well-trusted consultant is reporting something I have not discovered. There has no valuation offered, no condemnation, no scolding, just a report of the observation. Then, it depends on me. A lot of the time, I find the observation valuable, and I could pause for breath and intelligent action before going ahead with what I am handling. Zen presence becomes typical and natural. The term Zen presence does not need to summon images of a mystical expert figure traveling around, dispensing knowledge, and magically informing people. For the most part, it is not something other individuals will see. It is just a location you come from in your own awareness that allows you to act more reasonably, wisely, and creatively. They'll experience the advantages of your Zen presence, although to them, it will look like typical, natural, mature, and effective behavior. Chapter 3. Falling into Zen. I've been a researcher having a hard time to understand the mysteries of awareness, near-death experiences, and altered states most of my life. Alongside my science, I've also checked out many alternative worldviews from witchcraft to spiritualism and theosophy to chakras. But in spite of their shallow appeal, they all proved deeply unsatisfactory. They provided answers, all right, but the answers were dogmatic and complicated. They did not fit with science, and neither did they result in any new discoveries. Worst of all, their doctrines did not change in reaction to change, but stayed strictly dependent on ancient books or the claims of their advocates. That is, till I came across Zen. I was encouraged to have great doubt, told to investigate, and taught how to do it. Zen is a branch of Buddhism that began as Chan in 7th century China and later spread out east to end up being referred to as Zen in Japan. Though based in the teachings and insights of the historical Buddha, Zen puts far less emphasis on concept and studying texts than do other branches of Buddhism, and far more on practicing meditation to acquire direct experience of somebody's true nature. That might be why, from its appearance in the West in the late 19th century, Zen has interested academics, theorists, and other thinkers who enjoy its weird paradoxes and who do not want to be associated with spiritual practices or dogmatic beliefs. Like science, Zen needs that you ask questions, use disciplined approaches of query, and conquer any ideas that do not fit with what you find out. Certainly, Zen is just like science in being more a set of methods than a body of dogma. Zen has its doctrines and science its theories, but in both cases, these are momentary efforts to comprehend the vast universe, pending much deeper query and more discovery. Zen does not demand that you believe anything or have blind faith, but that you work very hard to discover for yourself. I am not a Buddhist. I have not signed up with any Buddhist orders, adopted any faiths, nor taken any official vows. I say this now because I do not want anybody to think I am writing under false pretenses. Absolutely nothing I say here should be taken as the words of a Zen Buddhist. Rather, I am a person with a questioning mind who has come across Zen and found it tremendously valuable. It has pushed me more and further into the sort of questions I've always asked, including the ones I've chosen to take on in my book, 10 Zen Questions. They're the sort of questions which concern the extremely mind that is asking the question. Calming the mind. Asking these 10 Zen questions both needs and encourages a calm mind. The minds tend not to be calm. Indeed, they tend to hurry about, full of overlapping ideas, pushed here and there by psychological responses, irritated by tunes that go round and round, and normally flashing from one thing to another. It is not possible to take on any question progressively and deeply with a mind in turmoil. How, then, can the mind be calmed? Meditation is the obvious answer, and is the technique I have used. Learning to practice meditation means absolutely nothing more than learning to sit still and focus, staying relaxed and alert, without getting tangled up in trains of idea, feelings, or inner conversations. I learned to practice meditation partially out of interest and partially because I was driven by the pain and confusion of life and thought that meditation may help. Later, I discovered that in Zen, there are techniques for training the mind to look hard and stick steadfastly to asking questions, hard questions. The Zen method of inquiry at first seemed rather separate from my science and even antithetical to it, but gradually I came to understand how compatible the two techniques are. As a student in the 1970s, I learned the meditation practice called ZEN, which was referred to as just sitting. I assumed that sitting still, alert, and relaxed, and not doing anything would be simple. But instead, I learned how hard it is. I wanted to keep trying, but, like many individuals, I could not enter into a routine practice of meditation. And then, in 1980, I went to night classes kept in the basement of his Bristol home by John Scoundrel, a prominent university speaker and also a Zen teacher. John was an instructor I could be comfortable with, not a shaven-headed, strange master from the East, but a down-to-earth English academic who had trained with monks and Zen masters and was now adapting his understanding for Westerners like me. Sometimes it is the oddest things that stick in the mind. I remember sitting there one evening with a group of other amateur meditators, struggling to get comfortable, sitting cross-legged on my cushion and looking down at the bare wall in front of me in the basic Zen fashion, when he claimed that our minds must be so calm that we would hear a woodlouse crawling on the floor. In one way or another, this really struck me, and I wanted to be able to hear that woodlouse. I suppose the idea made me understand how much turmoil there was in my mind. There was no stillness in which to hear such a tiny noise. Chapter 4. When Mindfulness is Inadequate. In her book called Mixing Minds, The Power of Relationship in Psychoanalysis and Buddhism, written in 2010, Pilar Jennings notes that it is very possible to have a deep and wealthy spiritual life that enjoys all way of spiritual benefits, while core psychological patterns and has a hard time remain untouched. Without a doubt, mindfulness is a handy tool, but absolutely nothing can replace the healing power of a relationship with a well-trained and devoted listener. In the last few years, there has been a surge of interest in spirituality-based mindfulness meditation practices, and Jennings succinctly describes a phenomenon, normally called a spiritual bypass, that can happen when we try to use these methods to solve mental problems and end up avoiding them instead. Mindfulness meditation increases the ability to live in the present moment and could produce deep insights into the nature of reality, both invaluable tools for crafting a conscious, well-lived life. But these practices were not created to heal a hurt heart. An American Zen instructor I know just recently told me that when people come to speak with her about their anxiety or depression, she frequently suggests that they are supposed to truly be seeing a psychotherapist. Like me, she has come to actually believe that talk treatment, specifically psychodynamic psychotherapy, is more effective than meditation for handling psychological issues, simply because it has the ability to reverse mental patterns and resolve the symptoms that they create. The risk of spiritual bypass. I fell for Buddhist philosophy as a teen and believed that Buddhist meditation held the crucial to magically liquefy the anxiety that had pestered me since childhood. Considering that I privileged Buddhism over Western science, it never occurred to me to turn to the field of psychology for help. As quickly as I graduated from college, I relocated to Japan to study Buddhist meditation with a renowned Zen master. The discipline was rigorous. The floor of the meditation hall was cold, and I found the teacher deeply intimidating, but really felt like I had finally shown up and was sturdily on my way to transcending the vicissitudes of the mundane world. It quickly became apparent, however, that I was also becoming increasingly anxious and depressed, and I started to have frightening visions throughout meditation that left me feeling physically unsteady and disconnected from my body. I made an appointment to see the teacher and tried to tell him about what was going on. He cut me off mid-sentence and chewed me out. "Impressions?" he shouted. "Your feelings and visions are nothing more than impressions. Forget about them. Return to your cushion and focus on your meditation. Just sit." And I did. I went back to my cushion and steeled myself against the emotions of the little girl inside me who was horrified and felt entirely alone, the one he had just obliterated. I went on to meditate for years under the guidance of a series of Japanese and Tibetan Buddhist teachers and became knowledgeable at one-pointed concentration and mindfulness. And I just kept packing down these illusory feelings, till one day in my 50s, when I was walking down a street in Greenwich Town and had a full-blown anxiety attack. I was horrified and called a Buddhist good friend of mine, who also happens to be a psychoanalyst, to ask her what she thought I should do. "You need to talk to somebody," she said. And that is how I wound up on the couch of a social psychoanalyst. The value of talk therapy. All my expert needed me to do was to show up and to talk. And as I began to speak, my psychological body seemed to wake up and find its voice. And, lo and behold, it had a lot to say. I kept talking, and my expert kept listening. One day, as I was nattering on about something that took place when I was a kid, my expert observed silently. "You appear miserable." I began to object, but then stopped. He had heard it. The unhappiness underlying my breakable happiness. And after that, perhaps for the first time, I heard it as well, and started to cry. This crack in my veneer resulted in the ingrained psychological disputes that had been festering in my unconscious for many years. As we began to explore them, I gradually started to feel better, and my lifelong anxiety signs, like an overstated startle response and chronic queasiness, vanished completely. Therapy had the ability to deal with issues that meditation never had. In time, I realized that none of my Buddhist instructors had ever actually listened to what I needed to say. Even with the appearance of a relationship between a meditator and a teacher, when I was carrying out mindfulness meditation practices, I was basically alone. But with my expert, I was not. Chapter 5. 10 Zen Things to Save Your Marriage. Let me begin with a disclaimer. Not all relationship problems can be resolved, neither with the Zen way of life nor with the bravest psychological interventions. Even when you are in a flawless peace with yourself and accept responsibility for your psychological baggage, your partner may continue to blame you for his. Some marital relationships can only be saved with 100 ZEN things. Others cannot be saved at all. With this said, a lot of marital relationships can be saved with some reasonably small changes. You owe it to yourself to try. ZEN is understanding the flow of life. As a ZEN psychologist, I am in the habit of taking a look at parts, an experience, action, particular or event, as connected to the whole, both inside and outside of ourselves. Every little thing comes from an interconnected, ever-changing stream of life. When we begin ripples on our side of the embankment, they often reach the opposite side softly and easily. It suggests that a few changes in us can trigger a domino effect that profoundly touch our life partner. There is no need to change every cork of yourself to prove a significant difference in your marriage. First, let us concentrate on undoing some of the common damaging behavior. 5 ZEN things not to do. Number 1. Stop nagging. Address when your feelings get hurt or when the other really annoys you, but bite your tongue when it comes to little, unimportant matters. Snap an elastic band on your wrist. Give him or her $1 if you flop and nag. Whatever it takes, stop nagging. Number 2. Stop watching screens. Technology kills sensual love, whether it is watching TV or YouTube videos on the computer, playing computer games, texting, twittering, or posting. Number 3. Stop using negative rhetoric. Sarcasm and name-calling add unnecessary pain to your relationship. Number 4. Stop a pattern that bothers your partner. Surprise your partner. Pick one conduct and drop it to show your love. And finally, number 5. Stop talking badly about your partner for entertainment. Avoid joking about marriage, neither yours nor anyone else's. It's harmful. 5 ZEN matters to do. Number 1. Pay additional attention. Pay close attention to your partner in the first 10 minutes after you get up, and also when you reunite later in the day. Smile at your partner for a few seconds longer. Ask how he feels. Tell him how much you love him. Listen carefully. Kiss and embrace him. You might be shocked, but this is a scientifically proven way to turn things around drastically. Number 2. Take seriously your partner's argument and inner conflicts. Verify your partner's viewpoint. Science supports when partners have the ability to tell the problem from the other's perspective. They are more likely to remain a couple. Number 3. Pay more attention to the mundane. When couples show interest in the regular, they wind up in less divorces. It is fantastic how crucial it is to be heard. It is easy to really love the remarkable, while, in truth, love flourishes on the regular. Number 4. Concentrate on the bigger picture. Gain perspective. When you forget how much you love the other, think of how you will not be able to enjoy her once she will have passed. Picture impermanence in her death. If you have problems changing perspective. And number 5. Say yes to your partner. State yes to the entire, even if you do not like each and every single part. Love is a resounding yes that needs to be repeated usually. Embrace the entire body and say yes, even though some parts may be less than perfect. Frustrations are natural. Bad breath is natural. Love knows to be patient with the bad as it includes the good. Manage the bad. Discuss it. But then see beyond and accept your partner as one interconnected whole. These 10 ZEN things work best when both partners practice them together. So, share this list with your partner. Discuss it, change it, improve it. In the end, do not let a good idea spoil because you try to find a simple way out. Many marriages can be saved by accepting that they can be consistent effort. It is typical. Some well-placed changes can go a long way. Chapter 6. The Zen of Working. All of it boils down to work at 90% and let go of the outcome. Let me unload that. Work. That means focus, compartmentalization, or as the Buddhists say, being in the moment. That does not mean hurrying. It means staying focused on doing a pretty good job on your present subtask. 90%. Even if you could sustainably work at 100%, it is most likely ill-advised. There would be a propensity to hurry, make errors, and decrease the pleasure one obtains from dealing with a little bit of breathing time. Let go of the result means that when you are finished with a job, its success runs out of your control. So, take a moment's enjoyment in having actually done the job well, without having overtaxed yourself and then put it out of your mind. Just proceed to the next job, or choose its time for a break, or that you have done enough work for the day. Zen and job search. The job search tends to be a medium to long-distance trip, requiring a fair amount of psychological gas. You do not want to go out before reaching your destination. In addition to good job search techniques, Zen is required to improve your gas mileage. Each time you get disappointed, you burn emotional gas. That is true when networking, writing your LinkedIn profile, getting ready for interviews, and the biggest gas guzzler, when, after a lot of work and looking for a job, you get rejected or maybe even worse, neglected. You need not be perfectly zen about everything, but striving for that will help guarantee that you both enjoy the job search process, or at least make it less unpleasant, and more likely that, before running out of gas, you will land a job, the right job. Zen on the job. Your workday very likely consists of tasks you dislike, yet that must be done. Try not to fight or resent it, but keep calm approval, doing the job with focus steadily. Do not focus on getting it done. Concentrate on the tiny part of the task you are working on at the moment. That will make the task less repellent while improving its quality and, yes, get it done without procrastination and with less pain. The takeaway. I completely recognize that it is easier said than done, but do aspire to enjoy crafting whatever it is you are doing. Writing that resume, preparing your discussion, whatever. The objective is to strive for the exact same enjoyment one gets when polishing an avocation. Fine-tuning your preferred recipe or softball swing, playing your favorite tune on the guitar. That is a tough objective, but one worth aspiring to. Chapter 7. Zen on the Path. A lot of us will be eager to go out on the tracks to trek and enjoy time in nature. Along with our physical uneasiness, we could also feel a need for spiritual exercise and challenge. A new book by Zen Buddhist academic and devoted hiker Christopher Ives offers us a remarkable and accessible look at customs of Japanese Zen Buddhism, in which long-distance hiking or running belongs to spiritual practice of monks, interwoven with and a practical guide to making our own experiences on the path more meditative and possibly transformative. I find myself concerned about the drivenness that some people take to outside activities like trekking, the attachment to reaching the summit of a mountain, walking a large number of miles in a day, or doing something extreme. In the book, I'm trying to sketch an approach to trekking that is more about slowing down, concentrating, and being totally in nature as nature. I specify it as traveling from someone's home to a remote sacred site, with encounters and difficulties along the way, for the purpose of getting near something effective and acquiring a benefit, whether a spiritual experience, peace of mind, healing, a solution to a problem, or perhaps salvation itself. When trekking is done mindfully as a type of spiritual practice, it can be a type of pilgrimage, for the individual is unplugging, getting away, clearing her head, walking in nature as a kind of spiritual place, coming across power if not mystery, and coming home changed. Zen meditation is quite physical, and it is generally taught as a putting of oneself in the action at hand. Whether breathing in seated meditation, shouting, doing tasks around the monastery, or taking part in creative pursuits. Similarly, the physicality of hiking, particularly when we put ourselves into each step on the path and fall into a rhythm, takes on a meditative quality. Moreover, fully embracing our embodiedness as we breathe, walk, and sweat, and perhaps groan, on the path is one course to the awareness of our embeddedness in a larger world. In my childhood, I spent a lot of time in the woods, and though at that time I didn't know anything about Buddhism or contemplative practices, my jaunts were spiritual journeys insofar as I would lose myself in focusing on the act of fishing, feeling calm as I settled into the rhythm of walking, and stand in wonder of beauty I encountered outdoors. After I started practicing Zen in college, and after that went off to Japan for some years, I realized how similar certain elements of backpacking were to Zen life, and how my practice of Zen was coloring what I did when out on the trail. There was no one particular walking that activated this realization, and in recent years, I've tried to make each of my walkings a kind of spiritual getaway, and for that reason, an expedition. The idea of liminality comes from anthropologist Victor Turner's discussion of how rites of passage and pilgrimages include 3 stages. Number 1. Separation from normal life and society. Number 2. A marginal or liminal state that is a type of spiritual bubble in which typical social markers and statuses don't use. And number 3. The return to society. We see these functions in pilgrimages like the Hajj, and Turner's theory certainly applies to trekking, insofar as we leave regular life with all of the roles, duties, busyness, and tension, and take a break, reflect, recharge, and maybe even change. If approached with openness, attentiveness, and interest, even a walk around the block or simply out to the garden can be an expedition. When I started writing the book, I was thinking my audience would be fellow hikers. But the more I wrote, the more I realized I really wanted the book to speak to all people who like to head outside or yearn to connect more deeply with nature. Practices that I find valuable are taking some deep breaths and collecting oneself at the trailhead before starting to hike, pausing after a few minutes of walking to sign in with each of somebody's senses as a way to attune to what's happening around oneself, slowing down to about 80% of the pace at which one may generally walk, putting oneself into the act of walking, similar to how people pour themselves into the act of breathing when doing seated meditation or yoga, stopping from time to time to take in a person's surroundings and be fully present, finding a stunning spot along the way to meditate or simply rest, and taking as a person's goal for the walk the act of being fully in a location, rather than getting to a summit or finishing the walk rapidly. Basically, this is about moving from ego-driven doing to spirit-filled being. Chapter 8. Zen and zoned out are not the same thing. As a spiritually minded psychotherapist, peace supporter, and student of Buddhism, I really love watching the West wake up to the wisdom of age-old Eastern traditions. It thrills me to know that people are getting deliberate about creating more harmony and stillness in their lives, because I am completely convinced that what the world needs now, above all else, is a more deliberate, more finely attuned sense of awareness and presence among all humans. When I see an indication that we are moving in that direction, I feel gratified and hopeful. But here is the thing. Owning a yoga mat doesn't make you a yogi. Telling people you practice meditation is not the same thing as meditating. And being Zen is not the exact same thing as saying you are. That may sound severe, but I'm making this point for an important reason. In the instant gratification-based society we live in, it is simple to puzzle exposure with understanding. To truly comprehend something, you should immerse yourself in it, exploring it from several angles and trying to acquire as much knowledge about it as possible. And so, it is with spiritual traditions and practices like Zen. The most direct translation of the word Zen is meditation, but the true meaning of Zen cannot totally be expressed in words. Perhaps the closest we can come is to say that Zen is a state of being that includes a sense of connection to a power greater than oneself. It is a lifestyle in the present moment, in fully experiencing reality as it is unfolding, without any preference for what happens. It means knowing the interconnectedness of all living things and flowing with the vast universe. In other words, Zen is an orientation to life that generates a sense of peace, equanimity, acceptance, and contentment. To be Zen is to be committed to keeping clarity and staying grounded in the present moment, no matter how challenging it is to do so. In our culture, when people speak about getting Zen or being Zen, they are generally referring to something along the lines of relaxing, reducing stress, slowing down, or finding peace. And that is a wonderful thing. But soothing down is not necessarily the exact same thing as finding Zen. The reason this difference matters is that typically our efforts to relax include taking a look at or numbing ourselves to what is going on, and that is not Zen at all. To adopt a Zen mindset, it is to be at one with whatever we are experiencing, without attempting to control or change it so we can feel better. When we experience Zen, we are acknowledging and accepting what is, rather than trying to make it something else. Although there isn't an explicit goal in Zen practice, the purpose is to create greater consciousness and gratitude for what is going on in the present moment. When we puzzle zoning out for Zen, we sell ourselves accept experiencing everything that can unfold and open up for us what we accept that we are feeling, rather than trying to OM it away. There is a commonly used expression among therapists and healers that says, "The only way out is through." This simple statement speaks to the distinction between numbing out and knowing Zen. It is simple to take a look at of the present moment by switching on a meditation CD or lighting some candles. But I challenge you to make your practice deeper than that. Do not settle for artificial peace. Practice loving and staying present with whatever is happening in the present moment, no matter how unpleasant it may be, and know that true peace awaits you on the other side. This has been Zen, Beginning on the Path, Mindfulness, and Inner Peace. Written by Evie Harrison. Narrated by Mary Johnson. Copyright 2020 by Evie Harrison, and production copyright by Evie Harrison. The end.